Stay on. Oh, it's not a microphone. I thought it was short. I'm Ouchy the Klown.
Yay!
I'm the erstwhile papa, lovable, cuddly papa of the PCP. The porn clown posse. Basically, we're a bunch of filthy, dirty clowns. Who doesn't love a filthy, dirty clown, really? So, I'm going to tell you a story today. I'm going to tell you a story, and the theme is pranks. But I was talking to Michelle Burke earlier, and we talked, and she said, you know, how do you know when the prank begins and ends if it's just the way you live your life? So, I'm going to tell you a story that's kind of like that. I mean, I think of a prank as sort of like, you know, the hand buzzer, or, you know, rubber chicken in your pants, or pie in the face. I mean, a clown, these are what I think. You know, it's something you play quickly on somebody. But the story I'm going to tell you is a story that took place over 10 days or so, played on 2 major cities of the eastern seaboard, over various locations and times, basically the way we live our life. The PCP likes to live by the slogan, poking pop culture in the eye, since 1998. So back in 2003, in April of 2003, almost exactly 10 years ago, flashback, Laughing Squid is based here in San Francisco at the time. And for those of you who don't know, Laughing Squid at the time was a repository of weirdo artists and happenings here in San Francisco. And Scott Beal and John Law were the co-founders. My wife was early on involved with it as well. I Candy the Clown. She's back now. And they had this brainchild to take all of the San Francisco talent to New York City, right? Ta-da! Great idea. They had a who's who at the time of who's who in San Francisco art scenes. They had Dr. Howlin' Owl. They had the Cycle Side Rodeo. They had Mr. Lucky, Timmy's favorite. They had Nickel M. They had John Law. They had Sean Kelly. All of the players in 2003 who were here, keeping San Francisco as weird as you possibly can, taking them to New York City. Why not? Because if you can think of who are the most jaded fucks in the world, New Yorkers, right? So, in what was probably Scott Beal's best decision he's ever made in his life, he invited the PCP to be last, to finish the performance. God forbid he'd put us first, and we'd never made it through the rest of the thing. The problem is this: so the PCP, we're a bunch of talentless hacks. We don't actually have an act. We don't actually do anything. Like, we get drunk at your party and, you know, fuck with you, basically. So that's what we do. Funny clown, right? So that's what we do. So my wife, who was 4 months pregnant at the time, was already in New York, staying at the Soho Grand, big, posh, fancy hotel, staying there for some work deal. And I had flown out to join her. The other clowns were going to follow maybe 4 or 5 days before the performance was supposed to happen in CBGB's gallery. Yeah. So it sort of becomes a tale of 2 worlds at this point, because I'm staying in the Soho Grand with my pregnant wife. The rest of the clowns, maybe 8 or 9 clowns, are staying at Ye Old Carlton Arms down in the east side. A former heroin shooting gallery, homeless shelter, and now become a arts hotel, but with, you know, common bathrooms still in the hall and detritus everywhere. And each room had its own theme. Naturally, the clowns chose to stay in the clown room. We are very smart clowns, not my best friends. So to set the tenor for how it's going at Ye Old Carlton Arms, Ye Old, that's what it's called. I'm not making this shit up. Octung the Clown, and I believe you were there, not the clown. I believe Flambeau the Clown and Blumpy the Clown. We're all on the, I shit you not. Did I say that? They were all on the red eye and arrived at the Carlton Arms at 7 a.m. and knock on the door. And they were greeted by Freakball the Clown from LA, who's got a bottle of whiskey in one hand and a mirror with a bunch of white lines on the other. And he's like, hey, you're just in time for breakfast. So this is what's happening in the clown room at UL Carlton Arms. My pregnant wife and I come to visit, and are quickly sucked into this vortex of insanity that's in this room. Mind you, it's now 2 days before the performance. We still have not talked about what we're actually going to do on the stage. So you can imagine a bunch of cracked out clowns snorting various white powders, drinking a lot of whiskey, most of whom become incoherent, trying to concoct a performance. But eventually, something did gel. And what gelled was this. The theme was, what we came up with was, let's see if we can't shock New Yorkers. Right? Let's see if we can just push it so fucking far that even New Yorkers will be slack-jawed and can't believe that they're actually seeing this on the stage. So with that, I present to you the description. I'll tell you our act in 3 parts. And the acts were introduced by volunteers from the audience and various random clowns that we scruffed up with the in permanent marker written on their ass, you know, Act 1, the clown and I. The clown and I. And this is something we reprise. We've done this before. Octung, the clown, and I come onto stage, and we stand up here and start to recite nursery rhymes, right? Hickory dickory dock, 3 mice ran up the clock. At which point, she begins to take off her shirt, exposing her breasts, and I begin to pull out needles. You know, like you do. And I put them through one nipple, and I put them through another nipple, and there's a little drip of blood. And the audience, which had heretofore been like, was like, you could hear a needle drop. So I put some needles on the other side, so pretty soon there's like needles sticking up on either side. And we then pass balloons out to the audience and say, here, throw them up, and Octung is going to try to pop them. Right? All the while still reciting nursery rhymes. So this is Act 1. That was just a teaser, a warning. Just a lighthearted banter. So Act 2, pregnant Ouchy. So I come out, and if I'm going to become pregnant, obviously I need to become impregnated, right? I mean, you can't just give birth without having become impregnated. So all the girl clowns usher me out onto stage. I'm wearing my wife's evil Pippi red wig and some horrible like Technicolor Dreamcoat dress thing that comes down to here. And they lay me out, and all of the girl clowns put their strap-ons on and proceed to faux penetrate me into all my various orifice. Some of it not so faux, some of it more faux. And they take me off the stage, and the boy clowns all bring me back in the guise of surgeons. And they're going to help me give birth, which I'm already contracting. They lay me on, they put my feet in the stirrups, and they proceed to pull out various things from under the dress. Pink tinsel, toothbrushes, there was a toothbrush there. Mind you, I wish I had the photo essay to go along with this, because it's pretty good. Baby toys, which I purloined from my nursery. Rubber chickens, you know. And ultimately, my one and only prop, ultimately, baby Ouchy. Birthed from my loins, made by Rugburns the Clown, baby Ouchy.
And for both.
That's Act 2. So for Act 3, we needed a showstopper, right? Up till now, we've just been toying with you. At this point, we lost only maybe 5% of the audience, so we consider this to be a failure. We needed to lose more. So, and I have no idea what we called Act 3. I can only imagine that it was called penetration. Because what happened is we brought out the girl clowns and sat them in chairs, and the boy clowns faced them and proceeded to unzip and were filleted on stage for real, no joking. And then the girl clowns turn around with, you know, those long clown balloons that you use to tie like clown dachshund balloons into, or if you're Ouchy the Klown, clown dachshunds with 5 legs. And they insert one end into their mouth and the other end into their vagina, all the while doing a can-can. While I'm in front of them, cracking my whip. So this is the big finish. Right? Ta-da! And by this point, we've lost about 30% of the audience, which we consider now that's a resounding success. We actually got New Yorkers up out of their seat. They're like, okay, we're out of here. This is nothing that anybody needs to see. Which is true. Following that, Helga Bunny and Ouchy the Klown DJ'd on little tiny schoolroom record players without the benefit of any kind of mixer, just sort of like, you drop the needle and then I'll drop the needle. Playing like Jim Neighbors and gospel music, things like that. While Scott Deal, on the other hand, who has hosted this show into CBGB's, is being bawled out by the staff. Because how could you bring these people in here? They're threatening our liquor license. And his wife stands up nearby, Lori, crying, in tears, because we've crushed it. So that was day 1. Wait, just time me. When you get to 30 minutes, I'm halfway through. No, I'm just kidding. So I won't go into a whole lot more detail. There's one more quick story. The next day, Saturday or Sunday, was free day at the Guggenheim Museum. Matthew Barney, if you know, was having his Cremaster cycle at the time, which is fucking surreal as it is. And we waited in line like the good clowns that we are, like the cracked out clowns that we are. But we got VIP'd in. I don't know, somebody from the museum were like, you come on ahead and put us in. But when we got there, the security guy says, I'm sorry, sir, to me. You'll need to check your whip. We can't have weapons in here. So I checked my whip reluctantly and got a little ticket. We proceeded through the museum, and you know, he would stop and ask us, are you part of the show? And at least 2 of the clowns would respond, yes, and so are you. At this point, my wife and I fly home. We're like, we're done. The rest of the clowns stay. They pile into a van with Dr. Stephen Black, who takes them down to Washington, D.C. to protest the White House because we had come up with a phrase that we liked at the time, which was less Bush, more pussy. But that is a story for another day and another clown.